School. We're live again here on the campus of the Pineywood School. Thank you for joining us. This segment, we're going to do something just a little bit different. Pineywood School started in 1909, started for freedom. Laurence C. Jones famously saying to the first incoming class, "You've come here for freedom, not from the kind of slavery your parents endured, but freedom from the slavery of ignorance of your mind." When they started this institution, there was no place for African Americans to be educated here in rural Mississippi. And so we've been doing this work now for 113 years. In this segment, we're going to share just a little bit of history, and we have guests that we're excited is going to be joining us, Miss Mattie Jones. But before we go to Miss Jones, I want to take you in and show you just a little quick piece of history, and then Miss Jones is going to give us a couple of minutes herself. But let's go in and get a little bit of our history first, folks. I'm doing this with my cell phone, so bear with me if I bump into something, etc., etc., etc. But I think it's going to be a good time. For those alumni who may be out there, you know where I am now. I just started to whisper for some reason. It just seems like when you get close to a grave site, you're supposed to be kind of quiet. But I'm really excited to be celebrating our founders on this Freedom Day, and to be celebrating the founding of Pineywood School. And so Pineywood's founded under an old cedar tree. You can see a remnant of that cedar tree behind me. And then the founders are laid to rest right next to it. Founded just teaching a young man how to read, and then teaching more and more as they would come. We moved from, a fallen log under an old cedar tree. We moved from that to a log cabin, which is in this building behind me, and it's kind of preserved. It's an old log cabin that's been preserved in this building. We'll see if we can keep some light as we go through it. Well, I think we have enough light. Yeah, and so you can see the original log cabin, schoolhouse, boarding house of the Pineywood School. Pineywood School, a boarding school since 1909. People would come from near and far to get an education here. And this is the place where they would be educated. This is also the place where they would learn. And this was the home of our school's founder, Laurence C. Jones, his wife, his Grace Jones, and their family. That log cabin and this land was donated by Ed Taylor. Ed Taylor is laid to rest also here at the Pineywood School at that sign behind me. It's the resting place of Ed Taylor. You need to know about Ed Taylor. Pineywood School is a historically African-American treasure, began as a historically African-American school to make freedom, to provide freedom and opportunity for African-Americans. Ed Taylor was born into slavery. After the Civil War, he was able to go north, and he made money, and he saved a lot of his money. He invested it. You know, we're spending some time here on the campus teaching students about investment, teaching students about financial management. Well, Ed Taylor is a good example of that. He invested his funds, and as a result, when Laurence C. Jones got started with this work, he saw what was happening, and he decided to contribute to it. So Ed Taylor, former slave, African-American, the first major donor to Pineywood School. He gave 40 acres of land on which I stand right now. He gave this log cabin structure that's behind us. Dr. Jones used to call it an old sheep shed because it was nothing but shelter for sheep. And he gave $50, which was a nice sum for an African-American in particular back in 1909. And as a result of that, we're still here today. What we thought we'd do in this segment, we thought that we would share with you one of the matriarchs of the Pineywood School. She was the daughter-in-law. She was the daughter-in-law of Laurence C. Jones, married to Turner Jones, Dr. Jones and Grace Jones' son. She lives in Louisville, Kentucky. This year she couldn't come out, and I'm sure that hurt her heart. But every year she comes down to Pineywood School and celebrates with us. This year she's celebrating with us by video because of COVID-19, and so I think we're getting ready to go to a short video. It's only about 2 minutes. Stick with us. A short video of Mattie Jones sharing why Freedom Day is so important and why Piney Woods as a freedom school needs to continue its important work. Let's hear just a word from Mattie Jones.
Good evening, my brothers and sisters. What a wonderful evening this is. Sitting here enjoying with my family. Are we really free? As I went back down memory lane to see the struggles of our foreparents and the contribution that they made to make this America, I look today to see if this is really freedom. Then I thought freedom is a constant struggle. Freedom is something that we must put into our minds and our heart and our soul to make a better day, to really make this America, and to really be able to lift up the struggles of our foreparents, lift up the contributions that we have given to make this the melting pot America. As I think about contributions, the name of Dr. Laurence C. Jones comes to my mind, of how this young man came all the way from up south, all the way from Iowa to Mississippi, and began to use his talent and his skills to educate the head, the heart, and the mind of black people, Negro people at that time was without total education. None whatsoever. All they knew was the cotton fields and the gin factories. But we moved up from the back of the bus to the front of the bus. But are we still seeing total freedom? My brothers and sisters, we must dedicate our minds and our heart and our love to continue to lift up freedom in every inch of the walls of America. We must rededicate ourselves. As that bill was signed into law, this should be the time where we rededicate ourselves. What can we give to lift up our heritage, our culture, to make this a better day for all generations?
So we thank Mattie Jones for those words of encouragement, and wanted to share with you a stone placed here at the gravesite. At Piney Woods, we talk about educating the head, the heart, and the hands. As you can see, the artist switched the words around here, but that's okay, right? Because the heart is most important. And so in whatever order we put them, head, hands, heart, head, hands, whatever order we put them, we know that we're educating the whole child. And this was foundational to us at the time when Mattie Jones first started walking this campus, and it continues to be an inspiration to us today. We just reached our 9-minute mark. On the 19th of every hour, we're coming to you for 9 minutes. Pineywood School, founded in 1909. Hope you'll join us later today. We'll see you on the 19th minute of the next hour. All right. God bless you.